6 days passed, bringing them to day 102 when they finally arrived in the blessed city, despite 40% of the urban population being demi-humans. A group of ogres traveling with humans seemed highly suspicious. Consequently, the soldiers and guards immediately went on high alert, even shouting to evaluate all civilians. They were overreacting. To calm the situation, the blonde Cook sisters, who had been merchants, provided convincing explanations to the officials. With that, they managed to reach an inn. Something important was communicated to the human women. During their stay, they should decide whether they wanted to stay or leave with him, promising to support them as much as possible. This was reiterated because he was aware that they were attacked during their travels and forcibly brought by the previous generation of hobgoblins. Deep down, though it sounded selfish, he didn't want any of the human women to leave. Later, the red-haired Noi took him to the Adventurers Guild, where, unsurprisingly, everyone tried to attack them. He knocked them all out, and notably, the receptionist fainted on her feet. Meanwhile, the rest of the group went to sell the items they had brought. After completing the registration and sales, they regrouped to go shopping. When the women went to buy clothes, our protagonist preferred to gather information. Not in his ogre form, but in a guise similar to his previous life as Kanata Tamuki, he told the others he was going for a walk. In his human form, the Lord and others couldn't believe he was just an ogre. Meanwhile, after listening to some rumors, he discovered that ogres were notorious for being violent. Knowing this, he realized that for now, he couldn't promote his mercenary group for Belam. He also noticed some people were following him, so he led them into an alley where he beat them up and ate them while devouring them. He found something hard. It was a ring. Curiously, all 6 had the same ring, leading him to suspect they were part of an organization. Then, he overheard some extortionists demanding money from a child. Despite bringing the requested amount, they demanded triple the sum. Noticing the boy had the same ring as those he had devoured, our protagonist prepared to intervene, though the boy bravely prepared to use his sword to save his princess. The bandits easily overpowered him and were about to kill him. In an instant, our hero saved the boy and incapacitated the others, not killing them, but implanting his parasite to track them to their hideout. After a while, the crying boy woke up and complained to our protagonist for sparing the killers, saying they deserved no mercy. Annoyed, our protagonist punched him in the head and told him to shut up, explaining that he spared them on purpose to find their hideout. He gave the boy his card, telling him to call if he couldn't publicly reveal the princess's kidnapping, and warned him not to tell anyone else. He then transformed back into his ogre form before returning to his human guise, leaving the blonde boy stunned. The next night, the young guard met our protagonist at the inn, revealing that they hadn't announced the princess's arrival in the city, which allowed the organization to kidnap her. However, our protagonist reassured him, saying he knew where they were. He informed them that the hideout was an abandoned house on the outskirts of the city. Wasting no time, they reached the place, and our hero gave the bandits a severe beating. Finding the princess tied up and asleep in the basement, while examining the papers, he discovered the kidnapping was planned due to various disputes and problems involving the princess. After rescuing her, they burned down the house with the unconscious bandits inside to eliminate any evidence. He reminded the boy not to tell anyone about the incident, informing his companions that the kidnapping was orchestrated by the princess herself, and he simply had to comply. The boy refused to lie and wanted to inform the king, but our protagonist used hypnosis to ensure he did as instructed. The next day, Sai shared the good news that goblins and hobgoblins were born. Though pleased, our hero knew the human women would give him their decision today. To his delight, they decided to stay with him, even preparing their luggage to return with him. The red-haired girl was particularly happy. Eager to hunt other prey like him, as they were leaving the inn, they encountered the princess, who had been waiting for hours to thank him, introducing herself as the daughter of the first queen consort of CHBT, Riria Ace B. Her blonde guard apologized for her insistence on thanking him personally. Our hero pitied the boy but listened as the princess revealed she knew about his mercenary company and had a mission for them to escort her to the capital. Despite her confidence and lack of intimidation, our protagonist rejected the request, pointing out that she already had an escort. Frustrated, she complained that her escort was boring. Annoyed, he yelled that they had their own plans and gave her a stern lecture, which had no effect. The blonde guard interrupted, offering a gold plaque as a reward for safely escorting the princess. Hearing this, the human women quickly urged him to accept, as a gold plaque was worth 1,000,000 gold coins and could be sold for 10,000 gold coins in the market. Stressed by the fluctuating value and already interested in the capital, he decided to accept the mission, delaying their return home. Outside, he asked the princess where her escort was, but she admitted she had left them behind without informing them. He scolded the blonde guard for the princess's attitude, and the guard apologized. Realizing he couldn't change her mind, our protagonist worried that if the princess was found with him, he could be accused of kidnapping her. However, unable to break the pact once made, he decided to continue as planned. As they began their journey, the blonde princess was very happy and curious. From a distance, she asked about some brown creatures with his sharp vision. Our hero explained they were a pack of wolves, animals prized for their meat and horns, which were used in medicine. Using his powers, he froze one with his dummy, cut it with his axe, and tried it along with the redhead. They even used a live one to pull their cart like a horse, transforming the centipede into a cart to avoid drawing attention. Along the way, they encountered a razor rabbit, an evolved form of the horned rabbit. The soldier noir, the redhead, took care of this monster, eating its horn as required by her class. Though the blondes found eating it raw unappealing, the princess kept getting into trouble, causing our ogre protagonist to constantly watch her and deal with the problems she created. At one point, she scared the blonde sisters while they were cooking, which was dangerous, so he spanked her, warning her not to bother someone with a knife in their hands. Yes, our ogre even spanked royalty. On day 104, they encountered a turtle snake, which he promptly defeated with a single blow. He then instructed the 3 lords to kill it and cooked it with sauce and alcohol. The princess apologized to the cooks for her behavior, having learned a lesson from the spanking. They all enjoyed turtle snake kabayaki, accompanied by plenty of alcohol as they traveled. The princess showed curiosity about the dangerous monsters and vehicles, exploring the world as if for the last time. She quickly took to sitting on our hero's shoulder, her favorite spot. The young soldier, who had served the princess since childhood, was considered a real knight. When our protagonist tried to train him, the princess wanted to join in. He noticed the young knight relied heavily on his level and profession, while the blonde practiced diligently with a wooden sword. Her dedication worried him, but he taught the boy to rely on his body through tough training and knockouts. That night, they moved towards a mountain path, discussing their next route. The shortest path led through a cliff area inhabited by fierce falcon eagles, the strongest species there, with paralyzing talons and a jade eagle as a leader. Determined to hunt the jade eagle, our hero set out, causing the horned one to cry in fear. In seconds, he captured several falcon eagles with his web, and the blonde cooks fried their meat. On their way, he sensed a disturbing presence, warning everyone to stay put. The battle with the jade eagle began. After an hour of training and warming up, he ended up with only one arm and leg, deciding to fight seriously. His companions, terrified, thought he would lose, but he regenerated his limbs and donned his exoskeleton for a serious fight. He caught the bird with his web, weighing it down so it couldn't control the wind or use its wings. Seizing the opportunity, he struck it to the ground. Despite the fall, the bird survived, showing the resilience of those with blessings. He discovered a rare virtual stone in the eagle's body, a powerful magical ingredient valuable enough to buy a small nation. They made jade eagle skewers, which he found delicious, gaining a new appearance for his exoskeleton and the ability to fly. The princess asked why he always ate the beings he killed. He remembered being asked the same in his previous life and explained that if someone died by his hand, he carried their hatred and lament by devouring them. His previous companions found this explanation odd, but the curious princess simply said, "I understand," and asked no more. Giving her something to think about, he vowed to continue defeating and devouring monsters.